Shalom, shalom, and welcome. Welcome to White Robes family. My name is Symmanayah, and these are the messages I am compelled to present before an awakening, set-apart nation. This is the 33rd installment, my brothers and sisters. I number them so that in the event you desire to share, you would know what number to present or share with someone. Or, of course, you can always share the link. With that said, before I get into this installment, my brothers and sisters, let me read the following. Warning and disclaimer. The information contained in White Robes family represent instructions and warnings to individuals who believe they are drawn by the Almighty Creator Yahuah to Yahusha Mashyach. The content presented centers around end-time realities. Please be advised, this site is not intended for children under 16 years of age due to its content. By continuing forward, you agree to hold Symmanayah harmless of any influence and or actions that arise as a result of watching, listening, and reviewing the content presenting. The views expressed do not reflect the owners, management, and or shareholders of this media platform. Also note that this ministry that I represent, White Robes family, and this name is not affiliated with any other ministries with similar names. With that said, my brothers and sisters, let's get started. Again, I say to you, welcome. My brothers and sisters, this installment is entitled Gates of Influence. Gates of Influence. Before I get started, my brothers and sisters, let me kind of imprint a visualization, an image, a picture. What if a strange animal came into your residence, whether it be a house, apartment, tent, whatever the case, a strange animal? Though you may seek to get it out right away, would at some point you ask yourself, how did that get in here? How did that thing, animal, or whatever, if it was a strange object, how did it get inside your place? Isn't that a question you may ask? One, to make sure it does not come back in the event you put it out. Or if you kill it, if it's something, a rodent or a pest, you would want to know how it got in. So if you kill it, others won't come in as well. Well, I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, if we begin to look and examine ourselves when we face with various influences, when we find ourselves stumbling, falling, going astray, succumbing to wicked influences, let us, O set apart brothers and sisters, begin to ask, how did it get in here? And what can we do? What must we do to get it out? And to minimize it coming back or prevent it from coming back at all. And I say minimize because the flesh will continue to war against the spirit, my brothers and sisters. Gates of influence. I will submit the case that I believe our eyes are as a gate. Our ears are as a gate. Our spirits inside is as a gate. And I will submit to you, O Yashar'al, the need for us to protect and guard these gates and be mindful that these are the gates, these are the entry points of which we find ourselves being influenced. Let me read the following. Come with me, O Yashar'al. If you look here, outside versus inside, all too often, my brothers and sisters, we stop too soon. And I have submitted on this slide, avoid stopping too soon. Case in point, we look at the awakening as many individuals who have these bywords of my nationality, who are Abrahym, or commonly known as Hebrews. As we are awakening, my brothers and sisters, we take such admiration. We face anger and disappointment of the lies We are proud to be among the chosen of Yahuah, but we stop too soon. Being Hebrew or Abrahym alone is not enough. Being Yashar'al is not enough. For there are wicked ones that are of Yashar'al that are not in the family of Yashar'al that is set apart, and there is set apart Yashar'al. Just like with Gentiles, there are wicked Gentiles, and there are those grafted in that are made one by Yahusha Mashyach. We stop too soon. There are those who are disappointed that they are not among the nationality and that they are Gentiles, but they stop too soon. Some will even grab the scripture where it says, you're neither Jew nor Greek, Hebrew nor Gentile, Abrahym or Goym, but one in Messiah. They stop. You see, my brothers and sisters, and I've said this over and over, we must identify physically those who are among the chosen children of Yashar'al, the children of the Almighty Father that are chosen. We must identify who are Gentiles, all other nations, Goym. It is important to understand this in order for scriptures to be fulfilled. It is important to understand this to fulfill, at the very least, Revelation 7th chapter, where it speaks of 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes mentioned in the 7th chapter of Revelation, as well as a great multitude of many nations, kindreds, and tongues. If we don't look at nationality, how can we see the fulfillment of many nations, kindreds, and tongues, let alone the 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of Yashar'al? We stop too soon, my brothers and sisters. We fail to realize there is an inward man. And I had an encounter with the Almighty Father, and he asked me, who among you is able to tell me the color of the spirit of a man? I had no answer, my brothers and sisters, and I believe neither one of us can talk about the color of the spirit of a man. See, we stop too soon at nationality. They have its place. They have things that must be fulfilled. But we must not stop there. We must look at the spirit of the man. For as we are made one in Yahusha Mashyach, we must recognize it is the inward man that will live forever with Yahusha Mashyach, if you are indeed a part of the set-apart family of Yashar'al. And that spirit, we know not exactly what it will look like. For the scriptures tell us when we see him, we shall be as he is. We shall see him as he is. So I say to you, my brothers and sisters, don't stop too soon. Let me read this passage. Matthew 23, 27 and 28 reads, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you are like whitewashed tombs, which outwardly indeed look well, but inside are filled with dead man bones and all uncleanness. So you too outwardly indeed appear righteous to men, but inside you are filled with hypocrisy and lawlessness. My brothers and sisters, we see a warning. We see a warning pass to Pharisees and Sadducees, to the outspoken, to the influential, who stop at looking good on the outward, but inward. They fail to examine. They fail to vet themselves, examine themselves. They fail to yield to set apart obedience. We see that today, my brothers and sisters. Some people think by wearing the Hebrew garb, so to speak, or any garment that is conservative, modest, non-revealing, or garments that they believe are indeed Hebrew garments. But inwardly, we see disobedience. We see wickedness. We see some using it to take advantage. Men preying on women, women preying on men. My brothers and sisters, I have emphasized and will continue to emphasize the need for us to examine ourselves, the need to vet ourselves and one another, the need to ask questions, for in asking questions, it will expose, it will bring about exposure, to seek answers. And we will find ourselves discovering that the Spirit of Yahusha will enlarge our ability to discern what he is saying to us. The need to be mindful of our eyes, ears, in the spirit of discernment is paramount. Let us learn to ask questions, The gates, my brothers and sisters, the gates that we have. I say to you, O Yashar'al, how did it, if we find ourselves stumbling, if we find ourselves succumbing to something that we thought was right and we find it's wrong, maybe we didn't guard our eyes like we should. Maybe we didn't guard our ears as we should. Maybe we took our eyes, ears, and spirit for granted. Consider this, my brothers and sisters, the entry points of influence. Oftentimes, my brothers and sisters, it's someone within our household, whether it's as a baby, literally, and growing up in different stages and ages. Someone in our household, someone in our family. Community interactions. Schools, our peers, our friends, things that we read or write, media and more. There are a lot of things that we are exposed to. If you doubt this, my brothers and sisters, look up the words together, classical conditioning or psychological conditioning. You see, my brothers and sisters, the environment in which we are raised have a large influence on how we govern ourselves. And when we begin to realize that these gates, that these influences have entered into, that there's an inward man made alive by the Spirit of Yahusha, made alive by the power and might of the Almighty Father. So I say to you, O Yashar'al, discover the inward man. Let us understand the dynamics of the Spirit of Yahusha working in us, through us, one towards another. Let us know why it is important when we understand that we have fallen, we have stumbled. No matter how long we've carried a behavior of erroneous actions, no matter how long we've gone doing something wrong and not even realizing it. Sometimes we realize it. When we come to recognize it, let us get under the blood of the Lamb, my brothers and sisters, and recognize the power of the blood, so that in doing so, we rise up anew in the set apart Spirit of Yahusha, working within us, through us, one towards another. And our inward man rises up strong, new, pressing forward, leaving the things behind, leaving the baggage behind, not turning our heads and looking back, but facing forward and discerning what is expected of us, my brothers and sisters. Entry points. I say to you, when something comes into our mind, if we realize that we've started doing something wrong, or if we are awakening to the truth, let us realize how we came about that. Did we see it? Physically, literally, up close and in person? Did we see it vis-a-vis media? Were we influenced this because we saw so many others, or we liked the garbs, the clothing, or we liked the community, or we liked the group, or we liked the fellowship? So we went with the majority rule? The set-apart reign of Yahusha is not a democracy, O Yashar'al. But we've been conditioned sometimes to move with the majority. End times are here, and we will realize that as Yahusha draws us to him, we who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father will come together. As it is written, if Yahusha be lifted up, he will draw all men. In John 12:44. I say to you, O Yashar'al, gates of influence. If we see that we've stumbled and fall, let's ask, how did it get in here? How do we get it out? How do we guard ourselves such that we don't have to experience such divisiveness in the future? Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, the sooner we know how to lean under the blood of Yahusha, lean unto the Most High, to seek forgiveness, to repent, then we can rise up anew and be gathered, fortified by the power and might of the Spirit of Yahuah. Let me read this, O Yashar'al. Matthew 22:29. And Yahusha answered, said to them, you go astray, not knowing the scriptures nor the power of the Almighty One. You see, there are so many people say, show me the script, show me the script. There are even teachers, mores, pastors, bishops, influential individuals that will lead you to think that the text is the word of the Almighty Father. That text we know has been tampered with. It has so many names in it to try to hide the true Father's name. That's one tampering. If you search the scriptures, you'll see in some cases where the scripture is talking about a new month, it used the word new moon. You see, my brothers and sisters, some of us are awakened that the text itself has been tampered with. But even though man may have put a flaw here and there in the text that we call the Bible or the scriptures, they cannot put a flaw in the spirit of the Almighty Father. They cannot distort the teachings of the Almighty Father. They can misrepresent, but they will get their rewards. And we who are awakening, we who are walking in obedience, we learn. We who have been restored, we who have been drawn to the Almighty Father, to Yahusha, we learn much regarding knowing the importance of discerning the life in the scriptures. We learn that the Almighty Father's Spirit makes the text alive and leaves the things that man have tampered with out. We learn to discern and rightfully divide the word as the Spirit makes alive, my brothers and sisters. And in doing so, we experience coming to know the scriptures and the power of the Almighty Father. Let me also read Proverbs 1:7 that talks about the fear of Yahuah is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and discipline. My brothers and sisters, it is important. It is important for us, O Yashar'al. It is important for us to understand that in discernment, things are revealed to us by the spirit of our teacher, Yahusha Mashyach. In discernment, things are uncovered and made clear to us by the power and might of the Spirit of Yahuah, sent in Yahusha's name. My brothers and sisters, I say to you, gates of influence. Let us learn how to guard what comes inside this tabernacle. Let us learn how to guard what comes in the tabernacle as two or more are gathered together. As we see the many members begin to come together as one, we must not only guard our tabernacle, but the tabernacles of those who are with us, who together make up the tabernacle of the Almighty Father Yahuah. Pray and watch, O Yashar'al, for in the discipline that is promised, we will find some amazing things coming where we will have times to shout, hallelujah. We will grow to understand. We will know how it is to go beyond the pain of correction and embrace the pleasure and comfort of walking upright in obedience to the Almighty Father. Remember, O Yashar'al, I've spoken on this before, and I'm compelled to also present it again. Hebrews 11:1, and belief is the substance of what is expected, the proof of what is not seen. We must learn the importance of belief. We must learn how it is through belief we will do some phenomenal things. We will go some phenomenal places. We will face physical death in a phenomenal way, believing that we are a child of the Almighty Father, knowing that these earthen vessels will return to the earth, knowing that some will still be physically alive until the physical return of Yahusha Mashyach. Keep in mind, Hebrews 11:6 lets us know without belief it's impossible to please the Almighty One. Pray, O Yashar'al. The realities of end times are unfolding before our very eyes. We will witness the consuming fire, the power and might of the Almighty Father like never before. Phenomenal things are ahead, my brothers and sisters. I cannot stress it enough. The habitable places on this planet will roll up like a scroll. I've been saying that for years. And we will literally see flames begin to force people from the ring of fire towards the promised land. If you are to the east of the ring of fire, migrations will prove to force you eastward. If you are to the west of the ring of fire, it will force you westward. And to those who are in the southern hemisphere, it will point you either northeast or northwest. Man will return to the region where life began. Pray and watch. Watch, for it has already begun. It will increase with intensity. We will see phenomenal things cause forced migrations, forced relocations. There will be those who will be ahead of the curve, so to speak, ahead of it, listening to, guided by the Spirit of the Almighty Father, drawn away before destruction hit. There will be those that will barely make it, and there will be those left behind and consumed by the destruction. It has begun, O Yashar'al. Do not be one caught in the congestion that disregarded the warnings from the Almighty Father. Remember, belief is the substance of what is expected, the proof of what is not seen. Allow me, O Yashar'al, to read this. Here's the question that I have for you, my brothers and sisters. And remember, eyes, ears, and spirit, let us not take them for granted. Let us discover their full potential. Many of us will in the coming of days. Are you aware of the difference between brain, consciousness, and the inward man? You see, influences have origins. Just as I said, a strange object, a strange thing, a strange animal might have gotten into your home. It came from somewhere. It had an origin. Many years ago, many decades ago, my brothers and sisters, I asked a question as I sought to understand what makes someone die and live. Who makes someone die and live? Given the answer simplistically as the Almighty Father who grants person life or death, and hearing some people say, oh no, and seeing so many different religions out there, I asked the question, how is one physically alive? And it was like, you have a heartbeat, don't you? I said, okay, well, what makes the heart beat? The brain. Well, what makes the brain function? Well, it has electric impulses that sends to the heart to get it to beat and circulate the blood and so forth. And then I said, well, how did that come about? And as I began to ask more and more questions that pointed me to the Almighty Father, I saw within my spirit him drawing me to him, introducing me to him. In the name of Yahusha Mashyach, my brothers and sisters, I experienced, now during my younger years, decades ago, I was a victim of the pagan name used to hide Yahusha Mashiach's name. But I have been delivered as I grew, as I matured, as the Spirit of Yahusha opened my eyes and ears, as the Spirit of the Almighty Father worked within me. I grew to see, to learn, to be awakened. Yashar'al, you see, growing up in a household here or a household there, or in an orphan, or on the streets. However we came to be where we are, there is the inward man. There are origins within inside. And we discovered that we have a spirit, the inward man. The scriptures tell us in John 14:26 that Yahusha will remind you. Literally, he's talking to his taught one saying, I will remind you. But if you look at John 14:26, if you begin to trust the Spirit of the Almighty Father to bring things to your remembrance, you will find it is much easier, it is much more powerful than trusting the cognition of the brain. By trusting that muscle within the skull, we will find that within this vessel is a spirit where doctors cannot point to. Or some doctors, if you know of any doctors, they will describe man's spirit leaving his earthen vessel by one taking a deep gasp, like a last breath. And I submit to you that is as though the spirit of a man has left that earthen vessel and it is ready to return back to the earth. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, gates of influence. Let us not stop with cognition or cognitive or psychological or mental faculties. Let us not stop there. Let us reach within to our beings and discover that we have a spirit that is joined with the Spirit of Yahusha, that is a part of the body of Yashar'al, set apart and alive by the power and might of the Almighty Father Yahuah. Know these things are true, my brothers and sisters. Let me also read the following. But for the sake of time, I tell you what, my brothers and sisters, I would suggest that you read 1 Corinthians 12th chapter. I brought this up. I've done many speakings on this, but the 12th chapter of 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter of Romans, and the 4th chapter of Ephesians, you will discover that there are many members but one body. One body, my brothers and sisters, one nation, and one spirit, joined together by the Spirit of the Almighty Father sent in Yahusha's name, made alive as a set-apart awakening nation. Remember, O Yashar'al, gates of influence. Many people fail to realize that as the flesh war against the spirit, as we come together in numbers, the fleshly bodies team up against our individual spirits and our collective spirit. But there's one spirit of Yahusha. There's one spirit of the Almighty Father within us. And we will learn how to bring these earthen vessels into subjection to do what we are called and tasked to do by the Almighty Father. Rise up and awake, O Yashar'al, for with every breath we receive, it is for a purpose. Let me press on. Again, read 1 Corinthians 12th chapter, Ephesians 4 and Romans 12. My brothers and sisters, I say to you, there will be a final exodus. What I have up on the screen is Isaiah chapter 11, verse 12, and Isaiah 43, 3 through 7. Make no mistake, there are many passages that's talking about being gathered from the four corners of the earth or being gathered. This means unity will come for Yashar'al. Make no mistake, let no one think to tell you that before the physical return of Yahusha, don't fall for the premise that all of us who are physically alive will return to that promised land before the physical return of Yahusha. This is not true, my brothers and sisters. And if you look at Isaiah, specifically that 7th verse, I made it bold when it says, I have created form, even made for my esteem. Keep in mind, O Yashar'al, there will be some that will be martyrs for Yahusha's name. There will be those who will die physically beforehand. There will be those delivered to Satan for the destruction of the flesh, that the spirit may be saved. I explained that in previous recordings. My brothers and sisters, there are those who will be martyrs for Yahusha's name. Some will be gathered, some will be left behind. And not all that are left behind are because of disobedience. They may be the last ones to gasp or proclaim or announce the final words from the Almighty Father before destruction hit. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, there's much work ahead of us. Much work ahead of us, my brothers and sisters. To the drawn of the Almighty Yahuah, drawn by him and him alone, to Yahusha Mashyach, to identify his plan and process for our lives, our teachings, our growth, our worship, our obedience to him. We have eyes to see, ears to hear, and a spirit to discern. Let us protect these gates. Let us guard these gates, not with blinders, but to prevent wicked influences from taking over, to learn how to step away moment by moment from distractions that will carry us off the path that we have been tasked to walk. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, the eye gate, the ear gate, the spiritual gates. Let us guard them. Let us recognize them. Let us quit taking them for granted. Pray and watch, for out of the discipline that is promised, a refined nation will rise. A set-apart group of individuals will come to be known as the children of obedience in these end times. What say you, O Yashar'al? There are plans. I must bring it to a close, and I say this to you, my brothers and sisters. If you are hearing anything remotely that feeds your spirit, that pushes you towards the Almighty Father, that encourages you to obey the Spirit of Yahusha, to lift him up, consider subscribing, my brothers and sisters, for there is much more to come. Consider sharing this with others. Consider supporting the efforts of a plan. Yes, there's a plan, my brothers and sisters. Count the cost of any plan. Use what you have while you can, or risk losing it. And I won't beat up on that. I've spoken it before. Consider the parable in Matthew 25th chapter, verse 14 through 30. With the mark of the beast on its way, with an economic collapse on its way, with famine, pestilence, disease on their way, in such magnitude, Yashar'al, that the abilities we have now, many of us won't have later. Use it or lose it. Your skills, your resources, your finances. Support, contribute, invest, or sponsor, my brothers and sisters. There is a plan. And I've set up a Cash App, White Rose Family. If you care to support this plan, my brothers and sisters, let me share with you some of the highlights of this plan. My brothers and sisters, you can call this fear-mongering or look at the realities of what it takes. Count the cost, O Yashar'al, and remember, there are no rewind buttons. Let me say to you, the plan in which the Almighty Father has instilled in my heart, spirit, and mind consists of building a set-apart team of leaders, vetted, proven to be chosen by the Almighty Father, to develop an information and resource center, to provide information, resources, supplies, as Yashar'al began to intermittently migrate to the exit points of which the Almighty Father will have us to gather before migrating from the four corners of the earth, to build a team with diverse skills, various skills that are required to keep a mass number of individuals that will be coming together to represent the set-apart nation of Yashar'al, to build a team that understands what it is to mentor and work with mentees and those of coming generations. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, the plan has many specifics and details and processes. There are plans that exist that are akin or that will latch on or we will latch on to. There will be the merging as the numbers get larger and larger. And I've stated, my brothers and sisters, you can have a remnant that can be millions of people, but when you compare it to the total population, it is a remnant. It is also a great multitude. Pray and watch. The plan in which I am working on, my brothers and sisters, consists of purchasing land in the state of Virginia or the Commonwealth of Virginia, my brothers and sisters. And we will find a big rally will occur before the mass exodus from the Western Hemisphere to identify and support safe zones as we find ourselves migrating where one could stop to freshen up, to rest up, to fuel up, and make those known to those led by the Almighty Father, to provide guidance and support for completing the journey from A to Z, to provide guidance for the inner court life. For the inner court is indeed the set-apart children of Yahuah. In the name of Yahusha, that is the inner court. The outer court are those who are not a part of the family, the set-apart family of Yahuah. Let them be. Let them do what they're doing. But make no mistake, the Most High will guide us in what we're supposed to do and how we are supposed to respond, O Yashar'al. Relocation and lifestyle changes are ahead. And there will be instructions, my brothers and sisters. There will be instructions on what we are to do as we wait for the physical return of Yahusha. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, gates of influences. We will learn, my brothers and sisters, that in gates of influence, we must know also how to use words when qualifying unleavened bread. And I will talk about that pretty soon in more detail. Gates of influence, my brothers and sisters. What's motivating us? What's moving us? What caused us to stumble? We can't look at excuses, and it's not about blaming someone here or there. But it is about identifying what comes in these gates, what influences us, what motivates us, what compels us to do the things that we do. And the things that we decide and identify that are set apart and right according to the word that is made alive by the Almighty Father. Let us shout hallelujah. And the things that we decide and identify by the leading of the Spirit of Yahusha that is not of set apartness, let us get under his blood. Let us recognize the blood of atonement with a repentance heart. Let us seek forgiveness and rise up anew, strong in set apartness. On that note, I say to you, Yashar'al, set apart family, chosen by the Almighty Father, drawn by him to Yahusha. For to ignore Yahusha is to ignore the plan that brings us into fellowship with the Father, the Almighty One, Yahuah. Remember, Yahusha represents his word manifest in the flesh, the sacrifice, the resurrection. He is the bridge that brings us to true fellowship and life immeasurably. On that note, I salute you, my brother. I salute you, my sister. I salute you, my family. I salute your fortitude, your strength, your pursuit of set apartness. And I say, on that note, Shalum.